Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Groove Lab podcast. If this is your first time joining us, my name's Lauren. This is Jeff. And this is a podcast all about the people that make up the music industry. This is the second episode of season 3, and this is so much fun. We're loving it. We're having a blast.
Oh, yeah, here at Rosewood Studios.
I have really missed doing the podcast thing. Have you?
I haven't missed you, but I've missed the podcast.
It's because you've seen me every single week.
Yay.
Yeah, I've missed it.
Well, good.
I mean, I will say I have a lot more work to do on this than you do.
It's true.
Let me show you.
But listen,
we got a new.
She doesn't really have anything else going on in her life.
Right. I don't have a 4-year-old.
No.
Look at our new board.
It's a video game.
It's not a video game. It is the Rodecaster Pro 2. We are so fancy.
This episode is brought to you by...
It is not.
Oh.
But watch what it does.
That's for me.
I also have this for anything I want to say to you. Like,
go ahead.
Jeff.
What?
Don't talk to me like that.
Oh, yeah? Well, shut the up.
Oh my God, what is wrong with us?
Everything.
It also has like a really perfect thing for I should say for like if I ever have like an awkward silence or like you tell like a joke that's not funny.
Which is never.
Which is often.
What do you got? Crickets. How about one of those things that really manipulates your voice?
I have that too.
What do you got?
I got this. Oh my goodness, what is going on? I also have...
Oh, we sound sexy.
This one's called voice disguise.
You sound
So
perfect.
if you... Listen, I mean, I know we're like videoing and everything.
Yes.
But if you like want to tell... Hold on.
If you want to tell like a secret really quick, I'll disguise your voice so no one will know. Hold on.
Hi. I have a deep secret I need to get off my chest.
I'm not going to say it. Because I'm afraid that everybody would know.
I would use this to tell people like that I'm related to you.
Oh, crap.
Which is, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before.
Doesn't she look like me?
He just told me the more time we spend around each other, the more we start to look alike, which is like people and their pet dogs, right? Like people
Something
say that
like,
that
so
happens.
you're my pet dog.
I was thinking the other way around, but okay. So here's how that would go.
I am related to Jeff Odo.
And then there would be some sad music.
Yeah.
Anyway.
After that, what you should be getting is...
What? That's what I get. Or this. Okay, how do you turn it off?
This is what y'all all wanted
Anyway.
to see, right? This episode is brought to you by Kaiser, though.
Yes, Kaiser Musical Products. They are our sponsor again this season, and we love them.
Thank you, Meredith.
Yeah, thank you, Meredith and Scott. We love you guys. And anyway, this has been a really long intro, and I do apologize for Jeff's behavior.
Are you kidding me? My pet dog over here talks way too much.
All right, so our guest today is a composer, record producer, and contemporary jazz piano recording artist from Nashville who's now living in LA. He's a founder and CEO of Muse Entertainment, which is an indie music production company and label. And he's currently on tour with Empress of Soul, Gladys Knight, as a featured guest artist.
How cool.
Welcome, Bryard Huggins.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Groove Lab.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, dude. Good
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm excited to talk to you because, wow, that's a lot of things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about where you got your start in music. You mentioned in your email that you started at the age of 4.
I did.
I
did. Yeah, literally it was crazy because people always ask me, how did you start? How did you start on piano? How did you get into music? And literally I just say it was God, because I sat down at the piano and started playing by ear. Just trying to make melodies from my parents used to play a Peanuts Christmas, the Christmas soundtrack. And so I used to try to pick it out by ear. And then when I was about 4, my dad bought my mom a piano for Christmas. And basically because my mom played with when she was pregnant with me. And so, bought her a piano. And then a couple weeks later, they rounded the corner and they're like, what is that noise? And they see me like tiny, couldn't even touch the ground. And my feet were like swinging. And I was just picking out melodies and playing. And they're like, this is something that's beyond our comprehension. And they're like, how do we deal with this? And they didn't really know, but they definitely just gave it up to God, because that was what it was. It was just a divine thing.
That is so cool. Okay, so you start playing piano, this little child prodigy.
And where were you as a child?
I was in Nashville.
Okay, so you were born in Nashville.
Born and raised in Nashville, yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, what happened after that?
Yeah, so I mean, really, like I said, they were just kind of trying to figure out like what to do with this talent, because as parents, you want to make sure you nurture this and you want to protect it. And so people were like, oh, you should send the tape in. That's how old I am. Tape into Oprah and all that stuff when she had her show. And they're like, no, we want to just make sure we just, we hone in, let him hone in on his craft and get him the training that he needs to just perfect it and to nurture it. And so around the age of 6, I actually composed my first song. And they were like, okay, now he's writing. Okay, we don't know what to do with this. So they found a piano teacher at my old school. And she was just like one of like the after school teachers. And I think I had about like 2 or 3 lessons with her. And these were her words. So this is not me tooting my own horn or anything, but she goes to my parents. She said, yeah, I don't know what to do with this. He's outstanding. You need to go to Belmont and get a teacher at Belmont. And so that's when I started with my classical piano instructor when I was about 6 years old at Belmont, and stayed with him for about 10 years. Yeah.
Wow.
That is a God-given talent you were born with.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
At 6 years old.
I think it's so cool that your parents too were not like, let's put him on Oprah. Let's do that right now, because I mean, that kind of stuff will follow you, like there's a lot of kids that are child prodigies, but then, you can't, it's hard to get out of that, of being considered a child for the rest of your life.
It
so
is.
How cool of your parents.
Yeah, it is. I think I'm so glad they did it. I mean, sometimes I look back, they're like, oh, like imagine where I probably would be if you put me on Oprah. But it's like, you're right. It would have been just a whole journey, probably before I was ready to get there. So they definitely did it right. They definitely did it right. And I'm blessed by it. Everything has its reason. Everything has its timing.
Yeah. Are your parents musicians? You said your mom? Yeah,
my mom played when she was pregnant with me and my brother. My brother's also an amazing pianist too. So he has the same gift, which is crazy. And all of her side of the family is like classically trained. They play piano, they sung, they were in bands. And then on my dad's side, they were all like recording artists and gospel singers from like back in the day, like old, like spiritual gospel church, foot stomping gospel people. And they all recorded and had groups and quartets and stuff like that. So it comes from both sides of the family, really.
So this was going to happen no matter what.
Probably. It was going to seep in some kind of way.
In some form or fashion, this was going to be your life.
Most likely. It was definitely ordained for that. It's funny that you said that though, because when I was first born, like literally minutes after I was born, there's a videotape of it. My great grandmother on my mom's side came into the hospital room, and they were like, oh, he's so cute, and oh my God. And they're like, look at his fingers are so long. And on tape, I'm serious, y'all, I have it. She says so clearly, he's gonna play piano. She's like, oh yeah, he's gonna play piano. And I'm like, called it.
How freaking cool is that? That's amazing.
Yeah, they said the grandparents stuff always know, what's going on. So Yeah.
That's so cool.
So 6 at Belmont. Go from there. I'm intrigued.
I stayed with my classical instructor for about 10 years. Until I'm about 15, 16 years old. And then I actually switched schools. I went to USN, University School of Nashville, shout out to them. Started there in high school and switched to a jazz piano because I really wanted to get into the jazz genre. I had discovered contemporary jazz and smooth jazz on Sirius XM when I was about 15. And so I'm like, that's like, I can do that. There's like, it's fusion and like pop mixed with instrumental jazz on piano. And got the connection from my band director, Mr. Getzi, and he gave me the contact information for a Grammy-nominated songwriter and jazz musician, Billy Kirsch, who became my piano instructor in jazz for about 4 years since I graduated and went to college.
Wow, what a road.
I know. So freaking cool, dude. Wow. Okay, so I don't even know where to go from here. Like, I have so many options. Jeff, you take the lead on this
No,
one.
that's fine. At what age did you start branching out on your own to play music outside of the school? Like in bars or church, or what avenue did you go down? Because most musicians tend to go the bar route, but I have a feeling you did not go that route.
I did not. Yeah, I had a lot of opportunities through family members, through my church and extended church family that, got me different little gigs when I was, 10, 11, like preteen kind of years. Because I really honestly did not want to do music. I didn't decide on doing music full time until I was about to get ready to go to college. I was actually going to do architecture.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, because I've always had a thing for interior design and buildings and stuff like that. And then I was also
your whole background is like
you see
very cute.
Yeah, I really love that. And I still love it. That's just a little passion project of mine. But also wanted to be a physician because my mom is also a doctor. So I had a dream of like taking over her practice one day. But then I think when I finally realized when I was applying to schools that the music thing, I could not escape it. By that point, I had, to answer your question, branched out away from the school and got contacts outside of my school and my church that, word obviously travels fast in the music industry, and particularly in Nashville being a music town. So people would need, music for banquets and background music for little events and stuff. So that's what I really did until I decided to really take this on full time and decide to actually major in music because I felt like, this was definitely a divine gift that I had, and I wanted to continue to progress with it and just kind of see where it went, because it was not leaving me. It was music was definitely ingrained in me by that point.
Yeah, it would be interesting to think if you didn't, because it's almost like you're going against what God wanted you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if your path, I mean, I'm sure you would have been a great physician, but it was almost as if, okay, this is what he's meant to do.
This is your path.
This is your path, and you need to stick with it,
Yeah.
which can be a blessing and also can be a curse, because it almost like, okay, well, I don't really have a choice in this.
Yeah. I knew it was, I knew it was something that was there for a reason. The amazing Grammy nominated singer-songwriter, gospel artist, Richard Smallwood. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he did the song Total Praise. And he emailed me one time. And one thing he said was, that's always stuck with me, is like, you keep honing in on your craft. It's given to you by purpose and design. And right. So that's kind of my grounding force, is like, it's there for a reason. And then just seeing when I did played in church and played at different places, how much the music touched people and uplifted people. And that's really why I decided I wanted to go into that, not just for a career and making money off of it, but also just to be able to continue to touch people and inspire people, because that really should be what our mission is as artists. Is not necessarily for ourselves, but it's for the public. It's you guys take in the music, and we're there, and we give it to you, and it lives on its own through you guys, and inspires and blesses you in whatever ways, in whatever circumstances that you guys are going through. So
yeah,
that's
like
the
a
purpose
vessel for that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so where does Gladys Knight come into play? Because I mean, that's a big deal.
It's a pretty big jump too.
Yeah.
Did I jump too far?
No, but go ahead.
I'm just excited. This
yeah.
is cool.
No, you didn't. It's funny because it is a major jump from what I had been doing, and never did I expect that kind of connection to come in the way that it did. They say that God closes one door, opens up another, and so it is fast forwarding a little bit, but it fits in because all through this time through college, and I got my master's degree. And one thing I had said was, after I left undergrad, if I'm not Taylor Swift famous in a year, I'm going to go back and get my master's, because that's God telling me you got more to learn. There's more that you've got to do. You're not ready yet. And I was not Taylor Swift famous, so I was like, well, darn. I said, well, let's go ahead and look at these master's programs, and went into music business and got my master's in that, which really helped because that also helped me establish my company, which I'm sure we'll get to later on. But from there, I really was still just making the connections. I was up from just gigging kind of every place. So I was now writing music for different platforms, film and TV.
You were still in Nashville?
I was still in Nashville at the time.
Okay. Right.
And I had established my company, so I was producing artists. I was doing music for different things across the country, going and speaking at different places and playing different places, writing music for different outlets, plays and podcasts and spoken word, anything you can really imagine, really just diving into the composer producer world. And then one of the connections that I actually gotten from my music for children's books forced me to have to come out to LA to possibly meet with some big name people to take that message and that mission on a different route and a bigger route. And literally I had planned for it. I had, booked the flights. And the moment literally that I touched down at LAX, they're like, yeah, it's not going to work out. And so obviously I used all my Southwest points to stay out there. But like, well, now I'm like, here we go again, like another closed door. And I was just like, well, I said, it's okay. And ended up staying in LA for 2 extra days that I didn't want to stay in LA 2 extra days, but I ended up, here. And, just so happens that my dad actually ran into Gladys Knight's manager at our hotel on the day I was supposed to leave if this connection had come through. And so ended up being out there for that long. I would not have been able to meet and be in that position to be acquainted with Gladys Knight's management. And that's really how it all happened. That's how it all started. It was just, was out in LA for something completely different. It didn't work out. I was bummed that it didn't work out. And lo and behold, I'm there for 2 extra days and we meet Gladys's people.
Wow, that is quite a testimony on keeping the faith and allowing these circumstances not to derail you, to know that there is a path that you're taking. And if you stay on that path,
things unfold for you. Like that gave me chills. That's so cool.
Exactly. That's that was definitely a divine connection at the right time, because you don't know what's in the plan and what's on the path for you. And, and you're right, some things, could save you and not work out because there's always something better behind it. And believe me, I'm so blessed to have been able to be in the position to take this gig with Gladys and be in that position than the other gig I was originally supposed to be out there for. That one pales in comparison to what God has lined up with Gladys and her team.
I'm sure.
Wow.
Gladys being such a lady of faith herself and you coming on board with her, that has to be a wonderful gig to have, because he'll keep you on the straight and narrow path,
Absolutely. Yeah, she is truly one of the most real people that she and her husband are just faith-based family people, great, real, kind people. And I honestly could think of nobody else to have gotten me to where I am with them, or in this particular business, than people like that. People who are sincere about their actions and just want to help and promote and give the opportunity. And up until then, that's really all that I wanted. I would get frustrated. Obviously music is such a fickle industry and it could be sometimes an unfair industry. So, there were a lot of highs, but there were more lows, a lot of closed doors, but there were a lot of good open ones also. And so, just trying to just figure it all out and being aligned with somebody who I always say just they gave their time and gave me the opportunity just to show what I could do and to share my gift. That to me is invaluable. And I tell her that all the time. And she's just like, well, I'm like, no, you truly helped me. You took the time out of your legendariness to just highlight me in your show. I'm like, and she did the same thing with Alicia Keys and Michael Bublé. Like that's how they started too, was through Gladys, the same exact way. So just to be in that line of greatness is an honor to me.
Has she given you any words of wisdom?
Literally everything that comes out of her mouth is a word of wisdom. Literally everything that comes out, whether she's telling me how she makes her banana pudding or like everything is a word of wisdom. But I think the biggest thing that she and her husband have both told me, and it stuck with me because I pass this along to, I work with aspiring artists also and other people, and I pass this along to them. What's for you is only for you and nobody else. And that, I'm like, a story of my life, literally, because, not everybody's path is going to be the same. No. You're going to go on a different path than your friend, even if you're in the same field. And so that's just something that's really stuck with me and struck me when she said it. I'm like that's true. And another one she said was, when God opens one door, no man can close it. Like, of course, like little things that just are out there, like you get it. She's like, I get it. So it's a
great one.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah, use it. It comes straight from the Empress of Soul.
Okay, well, I got to know one thing, Lauren. All right. What was it like? Where were you? And what was it like the first time you played a gig with her?
Oh God. It was so I was supposed to, because the pandemic had shifted everything, I was supposed to actually do the Ryman Auditorium with her on Mother's Day of 2020, but that was canceled. That's a whole other story. I was disappointed. I was angry, like everybody else. Everybody's plans were curtailed. And so when I finally got around to performing with her back in November, she sent me dates, and she's like, pick anything you want. And I said, okay. And then I called her, and she recommended that I go with her to Florida, because Florida's diverse audience really would be a great place for me to start, and for her to introduce me to people. And so the first gig I did with her was at the Walt Disney Theater in Orlando.
All right.
And I truly could not believe it. I couldn't believe that this was just all happening, given my story, and the stuff that I had been through personally and musically. Being there, I'm like, it's crazy. My parents were there. My brother got to go backstage with me and hang with me, and everybody on her team was just gracious and kind and welcoming. So it was amazing.
Awesome. I'm sure your heart must have been racing.
Yeah.
On stage.
It's funny because I had my whole outfit picked out and everything, and literally moments before the show, I was about to change, and I left my pants at the hotel.
Oh my God.
And I was freaking out. It was like all black. It's supposed to be like a tuxedo look. So I had like black denims and like a sparkly jacket, and I came in with like, not tattered jeans, but like white, they're like whitewashed jeans, like whitewashed jeans. And I'm like, I can't wear this. And I was so upset. And my brother, thank God, who was like he keeps me in line. He was like, shut up. He's like, don't let the devil try to infiltrate you. This is the devil trying to infiltrate you. And I'm like, okay, all right. So that made me a little nervous, but then, I got out there and sat at the piano, and she just started, introducing me and endorsing me to the audience. And I was just like, this is crazy. We did The Way We Were, Barbra Streisand's classic tune, sure, together. And then I did a solo piano arrangement of Total Praise by Richard Smallwood, which who I mentioned earlier, mm-hmm, and got a standing ovation. And I just remember, walking to the front of the stage and bowing. And I look over to my right, and she's literally like genuflecting to me. And that just got me. Like, I thought of my grandparents, and I just thought of I see my parents were crying in the audience. And I'm like this, and I went off the stage and I just bawled for like 15 minutes because it was so much, kind of like a finally, but also just like a rush of everything. And
so nobody noticed your jeans.
Nobody noticed.
That's what you're telling me.
Nobody noticed the jeans. I didn't care at that point. I could have had sweatpants. I didn't care. It was just such a humbling experience.
I definitely have, like, I'm a little teary-eyed just like listening to that story. Like, that is freaking awesome for you. That is
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you.
Wow.
Nothing but God. Nothing but God.
Yeah.
Truly, God and a piano is what I say.
Are you currently on the road with her? Or not currently because you're filming in LA, but do you have gigs booked?
We have some other things lined up that I can't really share right now, but I just got off her 2-week European tour. We did the UK, Scotland, and Wales.
Awesome.
And so when I did the Ryman back in April, I ended up doing her Ryman show because she came back after COVID. And so that was really special because literally the entire town of Nashville was there at the Ryman, and everybody that I knew and went to church with, and people came out to see Gladys, and I was the kind of the surprise featured guest. And that it was actually on stage after my performance that she said, she pulled me aside. She said in front of everybody, she's like, I have something I need to ask you. I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. And she popped the question as she was going on a European tour. She's like, I want you to come and be basically my featured guest artist. And I just, again, broke down on the stage. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how it's going to work, but yeah. And it was just, that experience was just incredible, truly incredible. I just never thought that I would be in that position to be a featured guest artist with Gladys Knight on a 2-week, 10-show, all sold out tour of UK. Is again, nothing but God.
And you had your passport ready.
They called me the next day and they said, your flight is booked. I said, say what now? Oh, everything's taken care of. And I'm like, oh, okay. You have to just show up at LAX and we'll take care of the rest. I'm like, okay. So I had everything ready.
You gotta love that.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
The Groove Lab podcast is proud to be sponsored by Kaiser Musical Products.
Kaiser is a family-owned and operated guitar accessories company, proudly made in East Texas and globally recognized for their world-famous quick change capos.
Guaranteed with a lifetime warranty, Kaiser capos are ready for whatever the road throws at them.
And you really don't own a capo if you don't own a Kaiser.
That's what I've heard.
Check them out online at kaisermusical.com. Well, okay. So sorry I got a little ahead of myself. I was very excited for that story, and
That's okay.
I'm glad to have heard it. But let's go back and let's talk about your company.
Yes. Yeah, Muse Entertainment. It's a brainchild of mine because, when I was about 13 years old, I had started kind of getting into like the smooth jazz genre. But I was also really inspired by a Greek composer by the name of Yanni. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him, but Yanni is the most amazing, in my opinion, most amazing composer, producer, performer on piano. So, if you watch me actually perform in person, you'll see a lot of the mannerisms I kind of adopted from him, just from watching him at an early age. And so I was kind of into like, he does like a lot of world music, international music mixed with classical. And so I really was into that. And so I started composing music that was a mix between world music and smooth jazz when I was about 12, 13 years old. And then finally, and then had a producer that actually heard my stuff and was like, you got something, kid. Like, I'd love to help you get your first album out there. And so I released my first album when I was 15. And so, fast forward to me starting the company, that was why I wanted to take on something like this, because I wanted to be that same kind of connection that my first producer was to me for somebody else. As I said, music is super hard and it's such a fickle industry. And, especially in Nashville, there's constantly people that are coming in, sometimes with just their guitar on their back and a book of songs, and they just don't know what they're doing. They just know that's where they were sent and where they are, are supposed to be. And so, being in Nashville and being from Nashville, I wanted to, hop on that and help any aspiring artists get their start, basically get the knowledge, the experience, the portfolio that they need to, kind of be able to like leave Muse Entertainment, leave the nest and pitch their work to other labels and stuff, but at least they would have gone through the process and they'd have the product. And so that's really what we do on our artist development side, is really just mentoring and inspiring young artists to get this knowledge of the industry and then take it and go, like, basically go forth and do something with it. But at least they have that grounding and they know that that's kind of how the industry works.
That seems like it would be really fulfilling.
It is, it's such a blessing seeing artists' faces when, we listen to their masters or we listen to the mixes and they're like, that's my song. I'm like, yeah, this is all you. They're like, but you did all. I'm like, no, I was a very small part of it. You did this. This is you. And sometimes they're in tears. Sometimes they were crying. And and I remember my first time in that position when I heard my songs, the masters all on the track, and all on a CD, and I was like, wow, like I know that feeling. I was once there. And so anything I could do to help, even giving expertise in the music business, which is why I got my master's, was to be able to have that knowledge to share with other people. And so when I was getting my master's, I built the company. And so I was able to take what I was learning in class and apply it to building this label. And that's the artist development side. The music production side is just, really me and any composers or producers that I contract out with to work with on music for film and TV, different genres and different outlets like that. I've done stuff for Macy's, done stuff for Cuisinart, done stuff for short films. My brother's a filmmaker, so I score all of his films for his company, That Side Productions. And it's Muse Entertainment kind of has two parts, but it really is fulfilling because you're providing music either for aspiring artists or for people just looking for music to enhance their product.
That's cool.
How do people get in touch with you in regards to your assistance?
Yeah, so Muse Entertainment has an Instagram. You can contact us. You can just literally DM us. My assistant is super good at getting back with people. We don't ever leave people in red. So it's at Muse Entertainment Co. Is our Instagram. So definitely hit us up if you need music for anything. If you are an artist that's looking for production or even just composition with lyrics, anything like that, we're happy to talk. Also, being honored to talk to you.
That's awesome. I will make sure to link it in the show notes so people can just click through and make it super easy.
Cool.
But yeah.
Okay. I'm a huge jazz fan also. Back in the day, I used to go to all the jazz fest that comes down here to Texas and whatnot. But most of my, I follow a lot of mainstream jazz like Spyro Gyra and the Yellow Jackets. And,
yeah.
I saw Miles Davis in '89 and all these progressive jazz that I've always loved. What are some mainstream jazz artists that you listen to that our audience may like to check out?
Well, besides myself, as
yeah, but of course.
That was a little joke. I'm sorry. I love Brian Culbertson. He's an amazing jazz pianist, and again, another person that I really took from and was inspired by as far as their style of playing and their style of performance. If you ever see Brian Culbertson live, the man plays backwards if he gets into the show, and the audience knows it's coming too. I saw him at City Winery in 2018, 2019, there in Nashville, and I was completely blown away. I'm like, I could do that. And so I started just seeing kind of how he does different things and how he dresses from like a sparkly blazer. And I started getting into like the whole blazer look, and then the playing backwards thing was the only thing that I hadn't yet mastered. But I'll tell you though, I did actually master it, and I did it at a show that I had last December at home, helping our music evolve in East Nashville. I did a show and did the backwards thing, and
how does it go?
It was okay. You have to be in the moment. When the musical spirit takes over you, you got to do it. And so I just kind of walked in my way back behind the piano, and I'm like, I don't know what's coming out, but maybe it sounds good. And I'm like, people are clapping, so maybe it's good.
They had no idea you were going to do that.
They had no idea I was going to do that. Right. It was a moment between me and my brother, because we do dueling pianos. And so he basically, he and I were going at it, and I tried to show him up and play backwards, and so that's that's what happened. That's how that happened. The rivalry, yes. But Brian Culbertson is probably my number one artist that I listen to and that I am inspired by as far as smooth jazz and contemporary jazz
Awesome.
goes. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, do you have any maybe tips for artists or like words of advice that you want to give anyone that's listening?
Yeah, words of advice. I will just repeat, what Gladys had told me. What's meant for you is only for you. I think that, you have to, as an artist, recognize your journey is not going to be the same as somebody else's. And you may not reach a point of success or whatever that somebody as quick as somebody else is. That doesn't mean that you're not worthy. That doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that, God has something planned for you that's specific to you and not that other person, and vice versa. So it's, it really just depends. And so if you keep that in your mind, I feel like you'll be much more grounded and you'll be more sure of yourself that something is coming. Because, music, it could be, a slow process in getting into the industry and reaching, success. And by no means am I there yet where I want to be. But the other piece of advice, again, would be to keep working hard and keep working at it, making the connections, talking to people. And the last piece of advice, be humble. Be humble. I run into a lot of people that don't have that humility, but they're super gifted. I mean, people I know could play around people and legendary, I feel like legendary status people, but they don't have that spirit of humility. And I think that that's what will captivate people. That's what will connect you with people is that sincerity and, and being humble and, just recognizing that it's not really about you in the grand scheme of things. It's about how your music makes people feel. And if you can get one person to feel better with your song or your strum or your performance or whatever, that should be enough. You just saved, you don't know what you were saving. You just saved a soul. You just helped somebody else. You just, brought somebody along that was struggling. And so if you remain humble and you work hard and you realize that your purpose is your purpose and nobody else's, you're gonna be fine.
And I'm sure Gladys Knight is the epitome of humble.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When we were, every single night we were on tour in the UK, she would say, she's like, I love you guys. And they always be like, oh yeah, she loves it. And she would say, no, I really do. She's like, because without any of you, we wouldn't be here. And I'm like, that's 100% true. And she means it. She means it. And that's the same thing as me as a performer. And when I have the performance hat on, I make sure to thank my audience all the time, because like y'all could have been doing anything else, but you came here to be blessed by music and to have fun. I'm like, thank you for coming. You don't just pay my bills, but you're supporting me. I appreciate that. And I always say that on my social media posts and different things that I say. I always end it with thank you so much for the continued support, because I feel like I have the best fan base in the entire world, because they pray for me, they encourage me, they support me. And that to me just trumps everything else. If to have that support is invaluable, in my opinion.
Well, I think that's a great note to go out on.
It really is. Okay, tell everyone where to find your stuff. I'm going to link it below too, but.
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Bryard, BRYARD official. And then you can, I'm personable. I really don't care. You can friend me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. You can follow my YouTube channel. It's Muse Entertainment, and it has there's a couple Muse Entertainments out there, but ours has a little yellow logo, so you'll see it. You'll see me. And you can of course follow our label and music production company at Muse Entertainment Co. And email me too. DM me anything. I'm happy to talk with anybody, and I'm a complete open book. Truly, I like to connect with people.
It's great.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on. It's been so great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
To know you. I'm excited to follow your career as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
This is Bryard Huggins, composer, producer, smooth jazz recording artist. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Groove Lab podcast. Stay groovy.